Okay, this is from the book, The Medical Reformation and Vegan Renaissance Bible by me. We're on chapter 37. If you're following along in the book, we're on page 550. Okay, this chapter is a little bit of a hodgepodge. Basically, when I write a book, a lot of times I have to go very fast because I work full time. I'm a clinical physician, and so I see a little segment of time, a little vacation time, and I just crank out the book real fast. So what I'm trying to say is this chapter is a little bit of a hodgepodge. Not the best chapter. The best stuff I've already gone through, except the spine stuff's really good, and then there's a lot of aesthetic, psychological stuff coming up. So anyway, so problems with the vegan diet. This is just a joke. This is a painting, the ancient, I think it was Caravaggio or something, painting of Narcissus. So Narcissus is the Greek myth of the boy who was so handsome that he fell in love with his reflection and he just kept staring at himself in the water until he starved to death. And the gist of it is that when you become vegan, you're going to be so skinny and healthy and look so good and have such a glow of vitality because of the improved blood flow, delivery, perfusion at your skin that you're just going to fall in love with your appearance, and you'll probably be too good looking for your spouse, and that's going to cause other problems. But those are the kind of problems you get with veganism, okay? Unlike, open heart surgery, what are the potential risks? Death, painful death, multi-organ failure, sternal osteomyelitis, congestive heart failure, respiratory failure, cardiac failure, kidney failure, dementia, okay? Pretty real risks. Okay. Lots of people get so much energy they start running distance races, 10K races, and even become marathoners or triathletes. A good example is that guy Garth Davis, the bariatric surgeon. He wrote a good book. That Proteinaholic book was good, and he became a triathlete. Before that, he was a fatso. Okay. I'll talk a little bit about the psychosocial benefits of religion. Religious people are way healthier. In our modern society, religion is being demonized and criticized. It's been removed from the schools. And that's because the goal is to bring the proles back to slavery. And in order to enslave you, they first of all have to dehumanize you. In order to dehumanize you, they have to, take religion away from you. If you remember Pascal's wager, basically, if God exists and you believe, infinite gain. If he doesn't exist and you believe, you don't lose anything. But anyways, so the point is, religious people are way healthier. You look at the National Geographic, Dan Buettner, Blue Zones of populations with the healthiest lives. They were all religious. You look at the great literature and art. It comes from religious people. Atheists basically say life has no meaning. And if life has no meaning, why create art? Why create anything that takes extra effort? Why not just focus on, hedonism and pleasure of the moment is what they tend to do, and they don't ever achieve much from a creative point of view, relatively speaking. Okay, Spartan vegan diet, that's sort of my version of the diet, which is basically just, a little bit more restrictive version of the sort of the California School of Nutrition, all of that, Dr. McDougall, Chef AJ, and that whole group, Michelle Chen, Goldhammer, and Veg Source, Jeff Nelson, and all of that crew. So I'm basically in the same camp as them, low-fat vegan, except I'm even more restrictive. I'm only organic, okay? And I also pay attention to a whole bunch of things with regard to toxicology, reduction of EMF, and all that stuff. Spartan vegan because it's sparse, cheap, simple. The idea, a little bit, I was an old wrestler in college, that sort of thing. Starches are nice because they're cheap and they store a long time in comparison with fruits are expensive, seasonal availability, and they don't tend to store very well. If you take a vitamin B12, which you'll need to if you're on this for a couple of years or longer, you take methylcobalamin. Okay, cyanocobalamin I think is for chumps. I'm worried about the cyano component accumulating. Okay, here's the Spartan vegan pyramid. Basically, the psychosocial stuff at the bottom. Get your sunshine, maintain your social relationships, practice your religion, get your sleep, get some exercise. Okay, then the starches, next level, things like potatoes, sweet potatoes, rice, beans, oatmeal, quinoa, squash. Wheat's okay if you tolerate it. If you don't, then don't eat it. Barley, rye, all that stuff that goes with that. Fruits, veggies, B12 at the top. And then as a joke, I made something called the Diet Nirvana Pyramid. And so basically, the Diet Nirvana Pyramid starts out with the burning in hell, paleo, keto, low carb, carnivore, morons, liars, trying to be paid to trick the proles. Okay, the next step up is the SAD diet for fat, sick, stupid, unattractive, untouchable, minimal wage, proles, dead prematurely, drinks tap water. Okay, the next step up is the Mediterranean diet, pseudo-intellectual ignoramuses like the Harvard faculty and other lying BS artists that want to trick the pros. Most of the time they recommend this is because they're too lazy and stupid to actually open a book and read or study nutrition. They're just phonies because you can say Mediterranean diet and it sounds like you know what you're talking about amongst the ignoramus crowd, but it's a sign that you don't or you're a liar. Okay, next comes up is lacto-ovo-pesco vegetarians, and that's what somebody often arrives at if they just study nutrition a little bit for a month or two. Middle caste bourgeoisie version of a diet. They'll drink carbon filtered water. They live an extra 10 years maybe. They're still half screwed. Next is philosophic vegans, animal rights vegans. And they tend to eat high fat veganism and still be pretty sick and fat and don't look so good. Next step up is no processed food at all. That's progress. No sweets, whole house carbon water filter, kitchen RO, reverse osmosis filter. They do a little bit better. Zero oils, I call that junior Nirvana level. No added sodium, assistant Nirvana level. No nuts, seeds, soy, avocados, or sweets, associate Nirvana level. And then full Nirvana level is, like the Spartan vegan diet, organic only, fruits, veggies, and starches. You can hit the print screen button and save a copy of that, put it on your refrigerator as a motivator. Here's a Spartan vegan plate, and it's basically same stuff we just talked about in a different diagram form. About 50 to 90% of your calories from starches, about 5 to 45% from fruits. Like McDougall would probably say, limit your fruits to 2 to 3 servings per day because he's concerned they don't satisfy appetite too well and he thinks people overeat them. I eat probably about 35 40% of my calories from fruits, but I exercise a lot. I'm 60, but I'm a relatively healthy, robust, young 60, if you will, so I can handle the extra fruit calories. My lipids are great, my exercise energy is great, my concentration is great. So I'm okay with that. And I've also seen a lot of fruitarians. They're real skinny and healthy. I mean, look at these people. Look at Durian Ryder and his fruit phase. Look at Freely, the banana girl. Garth Davis, the bariatric surgeon, seen a lot of healthy fruitarian types. But again, a lot of these fruitarian types, the Mastering Diabetes guys, Cyrus Kumbada and Bobby Bitterow, they're, relatively young people. As people get older, their metabolism sometimes is slowing down a bit. They might have a harder time eating all this fruit. But there are a lot of people who are eating a lot of fruit, and they're pretty skinny and healthy. Look at that Arnstein long-distance ultramarathoner guy, for an example. Okay, so anyways. And for beverage, I only drink reverse osmosis water. I barely drink any water because there's so much water in these fruits and vegetables and starches foods. Okay, and then here's the joke. This is really just a permutation of the Dennis Burkitt claim that if you have big feces, big stools, you only need small hospitals. If you have small stools because you're constipated from not eating fiber, you need a big hospital. And the joke here is similar to that. Well, first of all, there's a joke of modern buildings. They all stink. They look like animal cages, and they always have a statue of turd in front of them, like modern art, degrading us. We're degraded in our society by this modern art crap that a child could make. It's an insult. And then we're degraded by these buildings that look like animal cages because, the rich big money views us as dumb animals, talking monkeys with no soul. Okay, that's what atheistic Darwinism gets you. And what I'm saying is you could have a tiny little clinic, like a little vegan clinic, like Walter Kempner's rice houses in Durham, North Carolina, like McDougall's, 12-day clinic in Santa Rosa. Just a little place, teach people to eat a plant-based diet, and they'll dramatically improve their health more than all the bells and whistles and fancy machines in the big hospital can accomplish. The big hospital is good for emergency room care. It's good for fancy things like kidney dialysis, kidney transplant, and a whole bunch of stuff like that, joint replacement. Okay, best value people get to, I think, a lot of times is an emergency room. And other doctors, they can easily learn this. All they got to do is just spend a month watching videos. Let's see, here's a drawing of the abdominal pressure syndrome with Dennis Burkitt. We already talked about that, but you need to eat fiber, you get all those problems. I got a whole bunch of videos about abdominal pressure syndrome. I got a bunch of videos about diabetes, including the reason why diabetes increases dementia, because you got glucose type 4 transporters in your brain neurons, and they are insulin dependent. So you don't want insulin resistance. It doesn't just manifest in your body related to diabetes, it also manifests in your brain, and over time makes you stupid. Okay, I've talked previously about this whole thing about wanting the Goldilocks balance. If your pressure is too low, you don't perfuse the periventricular white matter, and you end up with these flare hyperintensities, coronal radiata level at the level of ventricles, centrum semiovale level above the ventricles, where you get all these strokes, and it makes you stupid. And that's the whole Peter Rogers, MD, neurovascular uncoupling theory of dementia, and it relates also to the Jack Delatorre vascular hypothesis of dementia, whereby hypertension causes atherosclerosis over time in the arteries of the brain, and that subsequently leads to hypoxia of the brain tissue, and that will lead to dementia. Okay. Those are two of the best theories of dementia. I like the Tetsumori Yamashima omega-6 cooking oil theory of dementia as well, with that leading to lipid peroxidation, toxic aldehydes like hydroxynonenal, and subsequent calpain-calthepsin. That's the calpain-calthepsin theory of Tetsumori Yamashima, the Japanese neuroscientist guy. Here's just basically the type of fats. They're all bad for you. You want to minimize all of them. If you eat low-fat plant foods, you'll automatically get enough PUFA omega-3s, okay? And you'll get enough omega-6s, all you need. So a sat fat has no double bonds. MUFA, monounsaturated fatty acid, has one double bond. The prototype is olive oil, like the PUFAs are omega-3s. Those are so-called the good ones, and omega-6s, so-called the bad ones. But really, you need a little bit of both. We actually need more omega-6 than omega-3. The reason that omega-6 is considered bad is because we mostly think of it in cooking oils, which are bad for you. In the Western diet, the SAD diet provides way too much omega-6s. A lot of omega-6 in meats. And anyways, don't worry about it. Just eat low-fat plant foods. You'll get all you need, and you avoid the bad stuff. This was just a picture as a reminder of, so you see, I know this chapter is kind of a hodgepodge. It's not a focal single theme. I sort of just left it in. I didn't have enough time to finish editing the book as much as I wanted to and remove this chapter and take these things and put them in other spots where they belong. It's sort of like I'll have a couple days off on a month, and I'll say I can write a book in that time, and I'll do that over the course of a couple months real fast. And then the next couple of months, I won't have enough time to do almost anything. So that's why I'll just say, okay, I have to publish the book this month because I'm just not going to be able to get to it again for a couple other months. So I just get it done, okay? I don't have any big publishing. I self-publish these. I don't have the time or the money, you know? And I get pissed off because I try to publish my articles in journals, and journals won't publish most of my stuff, and that pisses me off, and I don't have a lot of time. So I just publish a book. You can self-publish for free. So I do that, okay? And in a sense, it's like being an exile from conventional medicine, but exiles write the best books typically, so I do it anyways. And even if I don't make any money, I know it's good, I know it's right, so I'll do it. Okay, here's a little diagram about, that's the pitfall, you know, it's sort of, in medicine, the better you get, the more you're hated and the more you're shunned. Instead of being like in sports, the better you get, the more you're appreciated. But it's still the right thing to do, so I'll do it. Okay, and here is just a typical seesaw of physiology. Basically, you want to spend more time of your life in maintenance. After you exercise, you increase AMPK pathway, adenosine monophosphate pathway with activated protein kinase, and that's basically the restoration pathway. You exercise, you used up your energy, now you're low on ATP. The body says, let's go into maintenance phase, make more ATP, restore our energy levels. And the benefit of it is you shut off mTOR. You shut off mTOR over here, mechanistic target of rapamycin, also called mechanistic or mechanical target of rapamycin. And that's the growth pathway, the nutrient sensing pathway, that when it has adequate nutrients, it tells the cell to replicate. Mammalian target of rapamycin, that's the other name of it. It tells the cell to replicate. So you don't want that. You know, you're over 30, you don't want to speed up cell replication and speed up aging and increase cancer risk. Now, you want to be in the AMPK pathway, post-exercise phase. Complex carbohydrates are starches. This is associated with being skinny and getting adequate sleep, sort of a PANS, parasympathetic autonomic nervous system. You want to spend more of your life in this phase compared to in this phase, the rapid growth, but also the stressed out. Well, I'm not going to go into that anymore. There's time for that in other spots. I've gone over it. I like this drawing. This is playing chess with death. A friend of mine made this for me for this book after seeing that Ingmar Bergman movie. So yeah, that's what we all do. We all play chess with death, and we hope to live longer by playing the game the best we can with the cards that we're dealt with. Okay, so that's it for this chapter. I hope that was interesting and useful for you.